I'd like to call the meeting of the Westminster Select Board to order. Welcome all members of the public, members of the board, members of the municipal government, and all who are attending. Adjustments to the agenda.
I have two. Under other business, we need to add Prudential Committee draft letter under A, and B, errors and omissions 1.
Okay. Thank you. Now move for the acceptance of the minutes for the August 11th, 2021 meeting.
I'll move that we accept the minutes as printed.
Second.
Motion has been made to accept the minutes as printed for the Wednesday, August 11th, 2021 Westminster Select Board meeting, and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Question, is this a new format, Russ?
Excuse me?
Is this a new format? I don't remember it just being broken out like, looks pretty good. It's easier to read.
This is from Millie, so I don't know. It does look spread out more. So.
It looks like each agenda is like a separate set of flowing from one to the other, that's all. I liked it when I saw it.
Yeah.
Shall we proceed to adoption? Thank you. Minutes are hereby adopted. Communication and public comments. Any? Any from the general public?
Quiet. First time I've seen Chuck quiet.
Okay. Seeing none, moving on to unfinished business. A American Rescue Plan Act.
In your packets, you have new information that came 2 days ago, I guess it was. The counties are not getting the money that they thought they were going to. It is now going to be sent to the towns directly. Such as Wyndham Regional Commission will get a stipend to help us spend this money, but they're not distributing it as they first thought. So this is a chart that they sent to us. And at this point, the Westminster town is going to be due $807,436.52. The Westminster Village will be given $80,414.82. As both of these are great numbers to work with for the town, the discouraging part is looking back at the 2019 population, which is not even close to what we should have been at to receive these funds adequately. But again, it's better than a poke in the eye. It's $887,000 plus dollars, so that's great news.
What are these used for?
This is the ARPA money, the American, the American Rescue Plan Act. And in your packet, you also have a better determination of how these funds can be used. Before, it was 4 very simple items that you could spend it for, and looking at them was very, very limited. With this definition sheet, the committee will be able to look at each one of these and fit it into our community. One I would like to call your attention to is on page 3, the 4th line down, 4th item down, 4th column down, whatever you want to call it. It says, may ARPA funds be used for stormwater projects and expenses? And that is a yes for the first time. We have experienced a very severe Piggery Road Bridge culvert failure, and this is some place where we might be able to use the funds to create a bridge instead of replacing that culvert. Just an idea, but it is definitely a possibility now with these new definitions and rules. There is also many items now that fit Westminster and the needs that we have. So again, read these. They're very, very interesting reading. I'm very glad for this document because it was very, very hard to fit projects. As you and I talked, Toby, in depth, it was very hard to finagle projects to make them fit into this. And now the perspective is very, very wide. It doesn't buy equipment. It still does not buy equipment, but it does do some very neat things for the town. So anyway.
At this point, I'd like to unfortunately interrupt the meeting to just let everyone know that Millie will not be attending due to a death of the family. Okay, so unfortunately, she will not be here. She just wanted me to let everybody know. I just received her text. Sorry for that interruption. The one thing I wanted to clarify, though, too, is for the record, just to make sure that, as you explained to me this afternoon, Russell, that this money is bifurcated. We will receive half of it soon.
So we got our first halves of the small amount that I told you about a month ago. We in our bank account have the 141,000 and change, and the village had 14,000 and change. We did get those halves, so those are ready to go. Those are in our account. These dollars will be coming at the end of August, early September. Being so late now, when they just came out with it, it's going to be in early September, but half of it. And then next year at this time, you'll get the second half of both allotments, the towns and this regional monies. So yes, it will be in 2 installments to the town.
Thank you very much. Questions, concerns, observations?
Have we had any replies to the request for committee members?
Not yet, not yet. I have the whole village committee wants to be part of that. So I shouldn't have said no. Yes, those folks need to be abreast of the procedures, and they're up in the air whether they're just going to give us the funds to do into a bigger pot, or are they going to do smaller projects within the village? They're not sure yet. They want to be part of the conversations. So yes, we have had that response.
Any comment from the public?
Russ, can I answer your question?
Yes,
It says
absolutely.
On the same one, it says,
What document are you looking at?
this one here.
Okay.
It says we can get, it was on the
What
same thing
page?
you were talking about. It's on page 3, the 4th one down. It says may receive funding to invest in the wastewater infrastructure. Did anything like extending, we talked over the years, extending Rockingham's sewer line down through the valley, would that even close to being what they're
This money don't pay for that, but
it would
could go to it if that was something you'd want to look at.
Yeah, because the businesses asked for it, but they couldn't get it because it has to be town owned.
Right. And then these funds have to be put towards town-owned.
Right. So maybe we could actually look into that, because you would have the businesses contributing money to it too. I mean, they'd be paying.
The last time we looked at it, Larry Slayson was leading that charge. He was the chair of the committee, and I was working in the private sector, and Gage started giving him prices. And when I reached the $2 million mark, he said, stop. And I hadn't finished. So that is a very extensive project. So our 880 won't pay for it, but it would surely.
No, but you're also going to have
Possibly lean us
businesses that
towards
would
that.
be paying a fee. They pay a lot of money to try to, being in a flood zone, they're all in flood zone. they could contribute a lot towards it. That's what the business were asking for, if they could have help. It wasn't like they were trying to get something for nothing.
Yep.
They-
It was
they were gonna
to
spend
the industrial park, and the
Right.
industrial park turned into solar.
But there's a lot of businesses down there that spend a lot of money to keep up with their leach field
Leach
when they're in
field.
floodplain, you know?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Thank you very, very much. Moving on to Hartley Hill Road, private section update, if any.
We have no updates on the next three items. Hartley Hill website, oh, I'm sorry, Russell's here, so at my point, Hartley Hill and collaborative financing processing manual, both of those items should be tabled with no further information.
Where did we leave Hartley Hill the last time?
Where you approved to create the quit claim deed, and it's in Larry Slason's hands. He's creating the document for Robert Wickberg to pay for.
Thank you. Thank you. Website renewal?
I'll be reaching out to Russ, probably set up time next week, or the week after, to work out IDs and access and all of that. At this point, we've got the core of it up, and we're just finalizing, pulling down the whole concept.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Russ.
Finance processing manual update. This is a critical project that we've been working on, and obviously we've been tabling it. Obviously, we're in the middle of something that's kind of important, which is restoration, repair, repatriation of funds, that type of thing. But the collaborating financial processing manual, now that we're getting back to work here in the fall, needs to proceed. Where are we as far as possibly getting all the players together?
It's been put in Paul's court. He has to get together with the assistant clerk and define those two positions in the document. And then we can meet again with Chad Hewitt and proceed. But we need that step where Paul and Darlene Kelly meet to define their jobs.
Okay.
And there's a contract, a proposed contract too.
That we will be talking about next
Right,
meeting.
that will
Yes.
play into the manual, yes.
And we think we'll be able to discuss that in the next meeting.
Yes.
The contract.
Yes,
This is with Nemrick.
yes,
Mhm.
that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments from the public? Wonderful. Thank you. Moving on, new business. Thank you, Letter Gazette. I simply took it upon myself, folks, to put a little very short letter together, given everything that's occurred over the last several weeks regarding all the people who did such a fine job in this room and not in this room. Russell, Chuck, Jason, everybody, the highway department, fire department, first response teams, all the town folks, all the contractors that Chuck, Russ, and Jason did everything they could. And Craig is quiet, but he certainly helped, as he always does, doing a terrific job making sure we've got what we need. Citizens came together to protect the public safety, especially that night. And I just want to put this little note together, if you could review it. I thought we'd put it in the Gazette and at least acknowledge everyone for the incredible job they did to get the roads open as quickly as you guys did. And of course, nobody, thank God, nobody was injured. So just an amazing job.
Thanks for doing that, Kevin.
Yeah. One is, I wouldn't call it a short letter, you did good.
No.
Second is, you got my name first, so it looks like I did it, so congratulations. You made me look smart for the first time in my life. And, but reaching out to everybody, you're right, everybody chipped in, and Chuck and the whole crew did what they had to do, which is important.
Don't sound so surprised.
I'm surprised it was using your name.
So, I mean, thank you to everybody, including our financial support, bank, community banker also. We'll get to that, also did a great job to help us when we needed it. So there it is for your review. Thank you very much. Any comments, questions? Okay, moving on. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Over there.
I would, when this is over, or close to over, in the
Yes,
next
sir.
few weeks, I would like permission to, at the fire department, at the fire station, with permission of them, of course, have maybe a cookout, just to thank everybody that came out and went above and beyond to help pull us together.
It's a great idea.
I think it's a wonderful idea. And how would we coordinate that with?
Oh, I could pull it off.
Okay.
Just money, that's the biggest thing.
There's a lot, there's a lot
Yeah.
more people that would contribute than you think.
You can,
Oh, yeah, we
you
could
can
absolutely.
count on, you can count on us, you can count on
Okay.
our company to contribute, so,
Perfect,
all
thank you.
right.
Will you let us know when it's planned, or?
No, oh, you guys can't come. Yes, absolutely.
Who's gonna serve the drink?
We'll find somebody.
Okay,
Serving alcohol at a fire station, that'd be a new one.
that would be. I think that's a wonderful idea, and well deserved. 7/29/21 storm, emergency financing, the FEMA update.
We got word today that we haven't got word. This was from Megan Brunk from V-Trans. I have not received any communications regarding this declaration, hopefully soon. So we have not heard about the response from FEMA nor the governor to trigger an actual declaration. So at this point, we're still in the waiting game. I know by watching the news, most of the FEMA representatives are south of us in Tennessee. There was over 700 representatives from the Northeast. They went down to help with that. So I'm assuming we're going to take a little backseat to that for a while. So anyway, we're in a holding game. We're continuing the process to put down back to hole for snow plowing and et cetera. So that's that update. And today we needed to tap our line of credit. In your package, you have the request that I did for $225,000. To date, we have spent $251,000 plus or minus, which we've
Before this?
Excuse me?
Before the
Yes.
transfer?
Yes. The transfer was immediate. I think I did it around 11:30, and by noon, the money was in our account. So it's immediate, but we spent some of the emergency fund and out of the general fund to do this. But honestly, with the money arriving so quickly, that it can come out of this money also. So all told, we're fine, we're covered, we're good for the next pay period. So the 225 seemed to be a good number to settle us out for another couple weeks.
It's in here?
That's correct.
Okay. But I question why we didn't see it tonight. Now I see where you get it, that's all. Okay. Got it. So all the money that we wrote out for the 250 would be mostly in this
That's correct.
pay period.
That's correct.
And what will be the process of shifting money from the emergency reserve?
There is no shifting. It's in the general fund. It has been in,
So you just pay out of that?
That's correct.
Pay that down until
it's gone,
it's gone, and then,
and we've done that, yes.
okay.
I have a question about, I'm just awed by what's going on up my road. And I'm sure that it's happening, all over the place. But I'm just curious, is this a different way of dealing with the future of the roads? They've cut into it quite a ways. I thought, wow, I'm gonna fall over into there, but they started putting rock in there, and now they're.
So because your road is is near a brook, hydrologically connected.
Yeah,
We are bound by an agreement that somebody signed before I was ever involved. The municipal roads general permit, which addresses that. So we are bound by that to put it back according to the MRGP, or we will not receive any help.
what's MRGP?
The municipal roads general permit,
Oh, okay.
Act 64.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks like it's gonna be
That's why.
amazing.
We're just, before we even started, that's what we were told we had to do, so that's,
Yeah,
eventually we would have done it anyway,
Yeah.
because we have to, but it's just happening a little faster than we had anticipated because of the storm. Now, if we want to get paid for the damage on your road, we have to, when we repair it, do it correctly.
yeah, well,
So that's-
it's really
That's why. Oh,
impressive.
and hopefully, it's gonna make a difference. I can tell you that all the roads you take, like Davidson Hill, where we'd already done that previously, the main hill on Davidson Hill didn't wash a bit. It was up on the very top where a culvert got plugged. That's what caused all the trouble. But everywhere we had done, just what we've done on your road,
Yeah.
made a huge difference.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's been interesting watching it, because I had no idea what they were doing.
Right?
It just looks a little bit weird, but
Yeah,
it's now.
no, it's not what we're used to, for sure, but
Yeah.
I think it'll make a difference.
Yeah, I think it will too. Good. Okay,
I also just want to make one last comment that, to move on, the rate of cost to help us through this process from our local bank was exceptional, and I can't help but, again, thank Katie Dearborn and her team, and Russell for getting that put together. Just want to make sure that that also is reflected in the record moving forward too. We'll make every effort to make sure that we are as transparent as possible on the dollars that we are spending and holding them in account, right, Russ?
Sorry, I'm trying to take notes too. Say it again.
How we're spending the money and making sure,
Absolutely.
keeping everyone abreast of how that's going.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other comment on the process and the format on 7/29/21 storm?
I have a question.
Yes,
Maybe it goes
please.
here. What's happening with Penwood Hill?
So we were instructed by Mark Pickering, the state engineer, who you know, okay, to hold off until this has been declared a state of emergency, because he was afraid that if we repair that section before that happens, we will not be reimbursed.
Can it be repaired the way it was before?
He gave us some direction on how to fix it, and he was supposed to have given Russ a scope of work, and I haven't heard back if that's taken place yet or not.
Just the verbal one that
We all received.
that we all received. But what he's talking about doing is reaching over the guardrail, well, removing the guardrail that's compromised,
Right.
reaching over the bank, 225 feet long, reaching down roughly 10 feet, digging into the slope about 10 feet,
Yeah.
and creating a rip-wrap wall of sorts with the same slope that's there now on the other side of the guardrails, then resetting the guardrails in stable soil, and then refixing the road, period. And that wouldn't be an improved project, it'd be a FEMA-covered project.
It's his opinion that the sliding that occurred did not go all the way to the bottom. That's why just reaching down 10 feet, he feels would be adequate to repair it.
Okay. Let's hope.
Yeah, I'm not an engineer, that's why we trust those folks, because that's,
Okay.
right?
I guess.
Oh, yeah, well,
I don't
yeah.
have to drive on that road,
That's-
so.
no.
Yeah.
So, he pointed out, he had a lot of good points. The trees hadn't, if the whole bank slid, you'd think the trees would be leaned all the way over down the bank, where they really haven't so much.
That's true.
So
Okay.
I feel confident that he's
Nobody's doing?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
sure.
And your thoughts again, we had discussed on the time frame.
As far as the whole project,
Yeah.
all roads, I'm thinking.
No, on
Oh.
Henwood Hill,
Henwood,
yeah.
if, as soon as the governor pulls the trigger, we could have that straightened out, I would say, in 2 weeks.
Once we hear that, we'll put it out to bid, and get prices started, and hopefully, late fall, early winter, get it done.
Okay,
Worst case scenario, spring.
thank you. Since we're on that subject, I'm gonna be brief, but I feel it's owed to the taxpayers, especially when we're asked. I was asked to go up to Camp Road with Russell and Ben to address the damage that had occurred there on 7/29/21. And I'm assuming that's late at night where everyone was all hands on deck up there, and got to meet with Nate Stoddard as well, and to bring up the fact that several possibilities, simply reviewing the culvert system, if there is anything that we can do to make an improvement and or an augmentation that may help citizens there. And then the second part, obviously, is this long stationary pond retaining wall that is privately owned. And thank you, all you guys, for showing me how this basically works. I'm not an engineer. I know it's private land. I believe this has been tried before. I don't want to be redundant on it, but we have a taxpayer that's very concerned about the issues that wall may pose going forward in the future. So
It's a dam, really not
Thank
a
you.
wall,
Okay.
but a dam.
thank you for correcting me. If there's a possibility, if that makes sense, to again contact the homeowner to see about looking at it, or getting a closer look at it to see if it is an issue, if it is a contributing factor in the event that future storms may be larger, or we could have an event that precipitates, the wall giving way, or more water coming over that wall. So I want to make sure that when we're contacted, all of us, whoever it is, by our fellow taxpayers, that we, address it. I hope I have, and perhaps maybe we can continue to look into the fact that maybe we could get a closer look at it. I understand that the homeowner may or may not be open to that, but perhaps a letter requesting and get a look at it would be helpful.
I can assure you that Chuck and I will look into this further. We'll take pictures, et cetera, and bring them back to you for our thorough examination of the water flow and how to address it, if any.
No, and you did that day, and I appreciate that. I wasn't trying to be redundant. I just wanted to make sure that we had that on the agenda. And again, thank you for your time and consideration that day. Okay, any other questions or comments from the public?
Just a quick question for Russ. You mentioned both FEMA and the governor having to approve. Is there any value in people reaching out to the governor? Or is it all FEMA's court?
FEMA has to declare that there's enough damage that they witnessed to enhance the proclamation. The governor at that point then writes the letter and says, I claim this as a disaster area, and then FEMA runs with it. So it is tightly woven to who does what first, and at this point, they're kind of standing toe-to-toe, but nobody's willing to take that next step.
Forgive me, before moving forward, so we're not on other business, so we're still in the process and format. Russ and I discussed the call tree or emergency management response in these type of situations. This needs to be revisited, or the call tree reactivated in the event that there's something larger Is that something that we should have a committee on, or is that something you feel that you can come back to the next board meeting or thereafter with some suggestions on how call tree can be reestablished? That way, in the event of a more critical situation, we make sure that people aren't putting themselves in unnecessary danger, and we're hitting all four quadrants of the town, because it is a large space.
Really, nobody knows anything about this but you and I. So Saturday night, Kevin called me and asked about the up and coming rains that were possibly going to affect us from our damage that we had from 729. So he said, well, we got to get the word out. And I'm like, if we had this call tree, like what we had really had pressed for, that would help, that at least some neighbors would have the information. They could go to neighbors on, let's just pick a road, Davidson Hill, where there's one way in and one way out, and it washed severely. Well, this new proposed storm of 3 to 5 inches would have taken it right back out. So a call system would have at least given them a warning that we are watching this. Please help each other, get your food preparations, etc. But we didn't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that system like the school has. And I keep using that as the example because it's quick and easy, and everybody gets it in the format they want it. Phone, computer, text, whatever they want. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so the Vermont Alert, is that the same thing?
We have a handful of people that use that.
Uh-huh.
So-
We can encourage people to,
We have been. I've got brochures. We passed them out at town meeting. And we still have, I think there's 13 people signed up in Westminster. That's not enough. That's not getting the word out.
So,
Hence why I called you Sunday morning and said, let's put it on the Facebook
Yeah.
page. So, anyway.
so Sunday morning, I got a hold of several contractors. I had Allen Brothers Excavator moved to Windmill Hill South. I had Bucky Adams backhoe parked at the bottom of Henwood Hill Road. Our backhoe was parked over at the Westminster West Yard. I had another backhoe at Kernhattan. Tim Allen had his backhoe ready to go. So did Kenny Morse, had we needed it, just in case, like you're saying, to prep the roads. I met with the fire chief Sunday morning just to touch base with, if we had to close roads or we had to evacuate or what. So.
No, you did an outstanding job.
I not knowing about
The-
phone tree.
Yeah, the purpose of the phone tree is more or less for the general public to stay indoors, not get in your way,
Right.
or emergency management way. And that's what we're talking
Because,
about.
yeah,
We're
that would
talking about
be that would
locations.
be my only fear, is people out there trying to help.
Exactly.
It's
And
like, you appreciate it, but yeah, we're good.
Russ and I were up again on the camp road, and we heard, that it was all hands on deck. So you had neighbors out there in a kind of a, doing what they had to do. And I get it, and I'm not criticizing anyone, but
Was that Sunday?
yeah, I mean, that was in the height of the rain.
No. That was
it was
7/29.
Oh, no,
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about this last
No,
Sunday
right.
when we were due for,
But folks
6
put
to 10.
themselves at risk,
oh, sure.
okay, and, trying to help each other, I
I
understand.
had some
so-
of my guys, I had to remind them, hey, it's just a road, buddy.
Right,
Get
so
out of there.
I think it's a very good idea, Russell, again, to let our citizens know that, we need the roads clear, please stay in, it's safe for your safety, and if we could get that going, that, with the texting is probably the easiest, I would think.
Well, like you said, the
More
high school
specific, if
deal.
all of a sudden, the minute you know that Morrisburg has a washout, that we instantly send it out that stay off Morrisburg Road, you wouldn't know, right? But the minute you send it out, then people would know that, hey, listen, stay off it,
Right,
they're gonna work there.
sure.
You wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah,
No,
it could be very localized, because the Vermont one is just too broad.
yeah.
As to what's on there.
And we try to put it on our Facebook page, but it doesn't always, as quick as it.
But that's what, I agree with Russ, that was the problem when the state or Vermont sends it out, it doesn't really, not just Westminster, it doesn't tell you where in Westminster it's gonna hit, you know?
Right.
So that's the alert thing, that's not local, that's statewide.
You can harness Vermont Alert to Wyndham County, and you can even get smaller and actually draw a 2 or 3 town limit to any alerts. Problem with that is the storm is just outside of your little window of alerts, and by the time it becomes an issue, it's here. So
Yeah, gotcha.
you typically do Wyndham County, and then you get diversion of diluted information of
Get the heat warning today.
Yeah.
at 3:15. How important was that?
Well, we can say we have a tax roll that's very healthy, and, just getting everyone on a text tree that says, hey, look, got a storm coming or a storm's in, please stay inside. This is for Westminster residents only. I think that would be very effective. I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, Russ, there's products out there, so I could.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And they were cheap.
Yeah.
They were like $1,500 for the year, and he gave you
There's even less than that.
15. He gave you 15 options to do it.
Mhm.
And Chuck and I had talked, or I think it was even Mark and I talked first, that if you had a road that you wanted to close,
Mhm.
you're able to take that section of the population and say, hey, Holden Hill,
Yep.
you're going to be influenced by lack of access from this point to this point at such and such time.
You
So
could use it for road projects or tree down.
tons of stuff,
Yeah.
An accident, who knows, could be,
tons of stuff.
be super hit.
So,
And
but anyway.
preclude those cars that ended up, those black Hondas that ended up upside down, Anyway, a good thought.
One
Yeah, go ahead.
thing about the flood.
Yeah,
So were you gonna talk about this RCS letter, or?
At the next thing, we haven't got to
Oh, okay.
C yet.
Oh, that's C, okay, gotcha.
I
All
got
right.
one more quick question.
yeah.
This packet of checks gets
Oh, I'm sorry.
contractors paid up until
When they gave us our last
like this.
invoice. Realistically, probably last Friday,
Yeah, okay.
realistically.
No, I had heard some hadn't got paid, one had, I don't know, I just want to make sure that
Everybody
stuff was in
received,
the,
everybody received a check that had billed us the first time, but that was right off the bat.
yeah.
Then, it's 2 weeks, so this time we processed everything that we had,
Okay.
which was substantial,
Oh,
as
yeah,
you know.
No,
So,
So not all the contractors that were first on board during the emergency are still here. A lot of those are gone and went back to whatever. So we've only got a handful that are
yeah.
still here.
Basins was a perfect example. They jumped on, thank God, right off the bat.
Yeah.
Worked their 3 days or whatever they worked, and didn't bill us for another whole week.
Right.
So they didn't get paid in that first
Yeah.
little jag, but they got paid in this, of course, the second one. So,
And now things, as they come in,
every week, he's bringing me stuff.
Every
and I-
Monday they are invoicing now.
Yeah.
So for the week.
Okay, any further comment on process format, 7/29/21 storm?
Yes, so in your packet, you have a letter. It's a draft. It's not a draft, sorry. It is a letter that the state has recommended us to use to the acting state conservationist. I won't even attempt his name. And what it is, it's a letter from the town stating that we were affected by a watershed emergency, and that we are unable to pay for said damages on private lands from town coffers. So we are submitting this as an emergency where we need help for private citizens. It didn't ask for names or locations. It just asked for this letter to start the ball rolling, as in put it into play. Again, a woman came in today that was on the list and asked for more information. She was in a state of devastation when it all happened. She had a friend just cuff it off to make that they could get in and out, but that's it. So this will actually put them back together again, this funds that they will be doing. After we get this done, it's up to the landowner, which they call them a sponsor, to the Natural Resources Conservation Service.
Well, the town is actually the sponsor, right?
The town is the main sponsor, but once the funds and they start looking at particular jobs or projects, you become the person that has the pays and has the ability to say, I can only afford X amount.
Right.
Some of it is fully funded and some of it is a
Right.
process.
I'm just curious about the process. So we let them know that there'll be people in our town applying, and then the individuals apply, or?
I will, once this letter is approved by you folks, I will sign it and send it to them. That means the town of Westminster is signed up.
Right.
At that point, when FEMA declares this an emergency declaration, then you as individuals, taxpayers, residents, can submit a claim to us for you. So that's when the ball starts rolling. They'll deal directly with you about where it is, how much damage it was done, and
They'll send a team, essentially.
they will send a team to advise on how to move forward. And the homeowner is not obligated at that point, but neither is the town.
Right.
If the project is going to cost more than what it's worth, if for some reason they estimate it as being a $200,000 job and they have the contractor, they do all the process for you, and you're only willing to do 50,000 of that, you can name your own shot. So what I've read, it's a very good program, but the details are in each project. It's not just a big blanket. The specifics have got to be project specific. So anyway, so I'm asking for a motion and to accept this letter and for me to sign it, if you would.
I moved it. The town.
Just a moment, we have a query from Russ, from the public.
Yep, so from the way you just described this is more post-work. In other words, if someone already had damage and repaired it, they wouldn't be able to get reimbursed?
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
I don't.
This is still pending devastation, yes.
Right. This is for like major,
We have,
it's not for like a washed out driveway. It's
No.
like,
no,
my culvert blew out, my house is full of water, like.
we have 6 inches of muck in the basement, we have dirt against the house,
Right.
we've cracked ceilings, it's not a small.
Right.
You could wash out a leach field and they can't replace it.
Exactly.
Large money.
It's large money, yes.
Yeah, I would just say it would be good for the future to, knowing that that's the case, make sure we're putting this day 2, or a month afterwards, and we're just doing, and I know, we're
This
figuring this out.
this is not available every storm,
Okay,
every incident. This happens to be big enough where they've given us the option to do this.
Gotcha, okay.
And they just came out with this probably 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago.
okay.
I sent it to a few of the bigger ones that I knew needed it.
Mhm.
And then it was thrown back to us and said, no, we need your letter to get started. And so this is what I'm asking, is to sign this letter and get it started.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the town submit a letter to NRCS through Russ Hodgkins to participate in the federal assistance program.
Motion's made, second.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. One last matter on this before we move on. This letter is interesting. As we all experienced perhaps with our new website, with the permission of the board, I can craft a little idea. Homeowner insurance is critical as weather continues to change in our world, especially up here. And increasingly in these storms, homeowners are not either equipped or capable of finding adequate private coverage to augment the damage that's being done to their home. I would think it would behoove us as a select board representing fellow taxpayers to try and put together some type of a program to at least see what is out there collectively, or provide names for the private sector that can provide at least maybe some answers and some possibilities, so that more and more of our citizens will have at least some type of protection, some type of private insurance to augment this type of damage when it occurs. I think it's a well worthwhile concept, and I hope you'll join me in this effort. Again, it's just informational. There'll be no conflicts. It'll be simply trying to educate and provide direction to all the homeowners we have to see if they can find affordable and capable private policies that can help them each time that we have a storm.
Good. So essentially, on our website, if you're a homeowner and looking for insurance, you'd be able to go and see a list of companies that might offer something they'd be looking for.
Sure, and then perhaps we can actually even speak to the LCT and other cooperatives and see if there are, again, I understand, times are very expensive, and it's, homeowners insurance is not cheap, but it does make a difference. And if we can, any bit we can to help our fellow taxpayers, I think it makes a difference.
Good idea.
Everybody good? Okay, enough talk. Thank you. Truck purchase, financial discussion.
In your packet, you have what's our balances in our equipment fund. It's getting closer and closer to delivery date. So we've been kind of tabling it. It's time to find out what we're gonna do. So we have to date $50,077 to place towards a $133,264 truck. So we're in the need for $83,187. Also in your packet on the back of your order form is options for possibly financing it through, I guess it's Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. He gave us an option 1 and an option 2, one for 2 years and one for 3. Both put us within reach of our balance for this year and possibly paying it off next. But we do need to make a decision what to do.
So option 2, looking at the possibility of borrowing the money, it would be like $30,000 payment annually.
It was quoted, just so you know, you can do ahead or arrears. So it was quoted in the arrears, which means you would actually not make your first payment for a whole year. Okay.
But that's good because we need taxpayer approval to do that. So it would be and it would also depend on other possibilities such as surplus, putting that money towards them, putting in front of the taxpayers for permission to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's options out there, but that's still too early to give affirmative of how you're going to do it. But it would be helpful to have a clear path of how you want to proceed so that when information comes in, we'll know how to transport that information to you.
Discussion.
So what are our options now? Borrowing the money?
So when is the truck do here, Craig, to start with?
Depends on what stage you're at. If I take your used truck right away, you would end up with some money in the bank. But basically, their new truck will be here in 6 weeks, 5 weeks.
Okay, so in that period of time, you could put a down payment of the amount that's in the equipment fund, and then in March, bring it up to the taxpayers of while they want to pay for the remainder, which could be as simply using the surplus towards it or financing the remainder for that year. Both would be in the equipment fund. It's just an FYI for transparency. It's not a separate loan. It's still coming out of the equipment fund within the budget. But since that item is voted on each year, we would be better off having a vote from the taxpayers. I think it would be a lot more transparent.
Given the fact that we used money timely against the storm to replace our backhoe.
I'm gonna say, the voters gave you permission to buy the truck, they just didn't give you permission. But it's still equipment, so it does give you the freedom to choose what equipment you want to get. But you would be going back to them saying, hey, we wouldn't purchase this, but we want your permission to put it, we were gonna put it in the budget for this year anyways. But we basically are just saying, we wouldn't purchase it because it was a better deal, the backhoe we're talking about.
Well, and it was an emergency.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of superseded the truck.
Yeah.
So, and you're exactly right. It's not, you're not asking for a long-term debt. You're asking to spend the money in a fashion of 2 different years like you would anyway. So, but again, it's just a conversation to help with transparency of what you've done in the past year for the equipment.
Thoughts?
Well, it's conflict of interest, so I shouldn't say much anyways, because it's still legally, what do you have? The reason why Daimler does it, they actually allow you to turn the truck back in if the voters turn the budget down. Now, obviously, in this case, we would never do something that stupid because we've already purchased it. But, has it ever happened? No, not really. But if it wasn't that the fact that, hey, we weren't gonna ask for it in a year from now, I would have a different approach. But we just bought it before the next fiscal year, and we're not the only ones in that boat. I see where people buy used trucks for a year to get through because they didn't have it. But in this case, we asked for it. Everybody in town knows we were buying a truck. It's really the backhoe they don't know we're buying.
So we would take, under this proposal, we would take the, what is it, 53,000?
$50,077.
As a down payment, and for the rest of the money, we would ask the town either as a separate article or put it in the budget. We could put it in the budget also, in the equipment fund, or as a separate article.
You wouldn't need to up the ante. You wouldn't need to up the 145 that we're asking for.
You mean from the regular equipment fund? Yeah, sure, we could do that and explain that, or we have it as a separate article.
Because next
So
year
what
was
happens in the
the
future?
What do you mean?
Because this is what happened to us this time,
Yeah,
right? We moved the backhoe back because before me, we got an excavator.
right.
So we bumped the backhoe back, and that didn't make it as long as we thought it would. So now we're getting a truck, but we're gonna borrow from the next rig, right? So we've got a schedule, so every time we do that, we put ourselves right back in the same boat, right?
Except
No.
all we're doing is we're taking the backhoe from next year and the truck from this year, and we're switching them.
Mhm.
So the dollars are still on schedule after next year to continue your purchase schedule, and you'll have a few extra dollars to do it with.
Mhm.
It's on, I just didn't want, I just wanted to make sure we weren't.
We're not
We're not
We
skipping
would
them.
add the
But it's all the
extra,
same.
yeah.
I just don't want to have
totally
this
get it.
conversation every year.
I just don't think you should borrow the money for the truck, because it's a 2-year loan or whatever. And I still think if we went to Mascoma and borrowed the money for the backhoe, we would pay for the truck like we were. We would have less than a 1-year loan. We borrow the money from now until March for the backhoe. Still gets put back into the capital fund. In other words, you took the money out just buy the backhoe, you borrow the money, you put it back in, and now you take that 133,000, write a check out of it. My only reason is that then you're only borrowing the money, it's like a line of credit.
If you're borrowing the money for this piece of machinery, you're going to have to go to the taxpayer before you do this. So that's a special town meeting, which,
Well, I'm
you
trying
can
to say,
do.
that's why I wouldn't say you borrow the money from Daimler.
well, from this point of view, you're not borrowing the money. You are and you aren't. You're using the 50,000 that's still in the equipment fund to pay the first payment.
So
You
that's
go to
how you're
March.
looking at it that way. Even though you really did still borrow the money. I mean, you're saying that because we didn't have to actually give any money to the loan, we still borrowed money from the loan. I'm a little confused. I see what you're saying. You're saying that we didn't actually take any physical money.
We are not in a long-term debt. We are prolonging our payment in two facets, one this year and one next year. We can pay a payment of $50,000, which is part of this option that you gave us for 2 years. I would not go 3, I'd go 2, because now you're back to what Chuck was worried about, was prolonging the equipment purchases. You'll pay for that 50,000 into this year's. Next year, out of the 145 that we're assuming we'll get for equipment, we'll pay the remainder in the second
It's really just
fiscal year.
buying us a little time.
That's right.
That's exactly what it's
Jump
doing.
into the next.
That's all
The
it's
next
doing.
fiscal year.
It's
right.
not
We're
really.
not really borrowing any money because we aren't
Exactly.
gonna ever use Daimler's money.
On paper you are, but you're not actually.
Correct, that's right.
Yeah, and the dollar amount is, the 2-year was 40, so it would be 88,000, and, oops, where's my paper?
And we would not have to, when
And it was
would-
83,000,
Mhm.
so we're paying $5,000 to do this. That's what it's costing us in interest, to split the payment in half for 2 fiscal years. Now, go ahead, I'm just wanting to get that out, so I
Mhm.
make sure that it's clear.
Yeah, well, other than it's my company, I gotta recluse myself, but yeah. It's a no-brainer in some way. I mean, what we're asking for makes a lot of sense. It's just, how does it look like what we asked for?
It gave us a $5,000 insurance policy that we had to pay for.
Yeah.
That's all it is. We gave ourselves a new backhoe because we needed it in the emergency situation. And this is giving us an extra year to pay for the truck that we had already ordered.
Judging by what I see going on for next year, the same truck just went up $20,000. It's just ridiculous what we have. Not the equipment and everything, it's just, so that's the same way I thought with the backhoe. Probably now, before they go out, it becomes stupid price, but yeah.
Which means buying, and correct me, which means buying the backhoe probably saved money, and buying this truck now probably saved
Oh,
money.
definitely for what happened with this market. It's just nuts. There's nothing you're gonna get. I mean, I'm with customers now and telling them, if you rush to your board, I can get you one for next August. That's if you rush, you know, it's just nuts.
Because of the backlogs, so.
So all that being said,
Mhm.
when we're working on our budget, we need to keep that in mind, that stuff does not cost what it used to.
Yes,
No, we need to come back.
Culverts last month went up 48% in 1 month.
We have two bills, and I asked him, I said, what happened? We had 24-inch culvert before the incident at 1485 or something like that.
Foot, yeah.
A foot, and he bought some because we needed it in a quick hurry for $33.14 or something like that. It was like,
Well, availability too. I was at Prescott's 3 days ago, and they didn't have a culvert in the yard, so they won't see another one till the end of September.
That's what happened. But
so we bought the
I called
remainder of what was
WOW and I
available.
called, because I ordered culverts 3 months ago and I still haven't got them from our supplier. So the Valleys had some, and they had some over at W&W, half a dozen each place, so I bought them.
Back to equipment too, with money and time, like that new backhoe, anything we buy now that's emissioned and electronics and all that is not gonna last as long, either without costing some money.
You
throughout
told me
its
10
life.
years. Our new Kubota tractor right now, I say it was bought four years ago.
Oh, no.
Ron bought it. I can't think right now what the year it is.
Like,
Anyway.
I'd go 2.5 years ago, maybe 3.
So it's got a check engine light, called them, Pinnacle View will bring it over, yep. It's gonna be a $12,000 fix. It's the DEF pump, which is under warranty. It's the exhaust fluid for the emissions. Went to, it broke on it. But anyway, so if we owned that, if we didn't have the warranty on it, whatever, if we kept it out, that would cost us $12,000 for the part. That doesn't include labor, that's the
I
part.
just did Halifax, and they had a 2016 International that they had problems with it. They spent, because it wasn't under warranty, $125,000 in an international dealership just repairing it, and gave up on it. And I just sold them a brand new truck, and we took all the equipment off. When we got all done, we figured they ate $160,000
Yeah, come
on that whole deal.
Why would you do that?
They had no choice.
So that's why we just gotta be careful not to ever, no matter whether we're here or not, we gotta set the
It's
future
not gonna
up
be able to stretch
so
it
that
out.
doesn't happen.
absolutely, and always be with comprehensive coverage, as you just pointed out, because it is worth the extra dollars to make sure that our equipment is covered, but more importantly, I am more than comfortable and confident over the problem that just happened to be untimely for all of us, which was COVID and the backup in the manufacturing line. So we're actually getting vehicles, which we're not going to be able to get in a timely fashion, and that it is overwhelmingly more than likely it's going to cost our taxpayers more by not acting decisively now.
No question.
Did I say that right?
Just the way I would say.
And you're right, and we all done this.
Sorry.
I just think the one thing, when we go back to the voters this time, I don't think they would have disagreed if we had asked for 175. I think what they are out of us is like, let's make sure you got enough money in the capital, we're not coming
We'll need
back.
to, I agree with you, we're going to need to discuss the increase in
Yeah.
cost of equipment, and
Start pretty
yeah,
soon.
we're going to have to talk about it,
Material,
Absolutely.
parts, fuel, it's
Yeah.
all.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, are we, what do we need on the,
Well, if you're ready, we should have a motion, if you're ready for that.
I'll entertain that, please.
No, I can't, I mean,
So I'll make the motion that we borrow the money to buy the truck for 2 years. Or however you word it, authorize to borrow the money for 2 years.
From,
From Daimler
Daimler.
Truck Financial.
Second that.
Motion has been made and seconded for the purchase of the new vehicle. Any discussion, any further discussion?
let me get together with Russ on the financing, because, well, I only picked that, but if you you have to look at where we are today, and where do we want to pay it off? So if you're gonna pay it off in March, June, July, it could be less than 2 years. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta stay here, and then, but you could save some money by saying, okay, it's really 1.5 years when we come back around the calendar year. When are we gonna pay it off? You see what I'm saying? When would, because that's what.
The earliest we could pay it off would be mid to end of July.
Because you only have 2 payments, so your payments would be the same, but you'd pay a little less interest if you didn't, you know what I'm saying?
I think the motion should stick, because we're gonna be in a financial,
You're borrowing for
Tailspin
2
right now
years,
with-
it's just a matter, you can tell me when you want it to end.
I would do the full term,
Okay.
from when it comes, November
There's no
to
penalty to pay it
November.
off early.
Exactly, and so,
If the capital's there, we can make that decision.
exactly.
Yeah, no, right.
All right?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? And Greg is recused. Okay, thank you all. Moving on to the 5-year capital plan.
I can speak to this.
Thank you, Sue.
If you want. So, it'll probably take a while to get to this, but Chuck and I met a month or 2 ago, and we talked about specific plans or strategies for upgrading the town garage. And Chuck, at some point, is gonna get some prices on that.
So, yeah, I have been working on it.
Okay.
They came, they looked at our heating system, they're
Yeah.
designing a heating system to work for that building.
Yep,
Had a contractor look, he's gonna get me a price on adding the 2 bays we talked about.
mhm,
I got a hold of VLCT and asked about a pit, whether or not, for maintenance, if that was even still legal, which it is.
yep,
And then we got a rainstorm, and I'll be honest with you, that took a backseat.
I figured you would not get to it, but
But I've been working on in between a little.
yeah,
And the tank removal.
yeah.
And the tank removal, yep. I got a price on that from
Mhm,
Beardsley up in Springfield,
yeah.
so.
So when we get back to this and have time, what I'm hoping is this will sort of show you the whole idea for a 5-year plan, starting with the town garage, and then if other people would like to take up.
Speaking of, and I contacted a customer, this Vermont phone installation, they're huge.
Mhm,
I'm gonna have a meeting with them in the North Westminster community, because I really need the installation people there to be with the heating people, to know how big the heater system's gotta be.
mhm.
And so I will meet with them, so it just dawned on me, I could also have them look at the town garage while they're still in that meeting, just go to both facilities. Perfect.
That'd be great.
Come back, because that was my next thing on the general north, but no sense even looking at heating. I talked to my own heating
Yeah.
company, it was like, how is it? Like, none.
Yeah,
So if
Yeah.
I get them together, then I can figure out, might spend more money on insulation, but less on putting in the heating
Right.
system.
Excellent.
so hopefully at some point in the future, we'll have
Yeah,
a plan that says, as I said before, town garage, we'd like to do these things, this is the cost. Northwest Community House, this is what we'd like to do, these are the
I'd
costs.
say within the next couple of months, we should have that pretty well on my end.
Great. Yeah, and any other buildings that anybody else wants to, I know the post office, some people have suggested some work that needs to be done in the post office.
In fact, not to interrupt, in fact, I think Russell had mentioned that Uncle Sam has asked us to straighten up the facade in the post office.
Yeah, it's going to be taken care of this year.
Okay.
I have a couple young folk that are going to do it on weekends. They're going to first spray it and kill the mold,
Mhm.
and then, which this year, everything has got mold on it. Then they let it set, then they'll scrape it and paint it. And we have some tile that's just on the inside of the delivery door that needs to be repaired, and Cole Streeter will be he'll be the main contact for all of this,
Yeah.
so
Great.
it is being done.
what's the
We were-
story, going back a while, I remember when we first had issues with mold, was the water was coming off, and it was going down the side into the basement and all that. But we also talked about the roof. That roof never got repaired, never got replaced, right? That's still the original roof? I can't remember, I just know.
Before I was town manager, you guys had some roof work done.
I don't know if we put a whole new roof. I remember one time we were looking at
Or it was
putting rain
repaired.
gutters.
Let's go this way. It might have been just repaired.
I know we did repair work, but I don't, there's one
Put a
time we
new
talked
furnace
about.
in it.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe I'll look at that only because I remember them saying the only solution was to when you put a new roof, put the gutters in and get the water away from the building.
Yeah.
But it didn't make sense putting the gutters till we put a new
Well,
roof.
right now, it's just so dark around it, and the weather that we've been having, I mean, on white, it snaps, and you can see it so clearly, it just has to be
Yeah.
literally, killed and then.
So we should have a
painted.
list of what work that we need to do in post office.
Yep, that's pretty much all I know
Yeah,
of the complaints so far.
When you say young people, I'm assuming, are they going through coal?
They are,
So insurance-wise,
it's through coal, yes.
Yeah, we fixed that basement up and we did some work. We've done work with it. Another thing was
Absolutely.
they kept backing into the back and bending over and breaking stuff. And I know we did the dock, we did a bunch of things.
Yep. Exactly.
Seeing nothing further, moving on to the town manager's report.
Okay, same old bids have been just pushed out a little bit for the front foyer here and for the floors and walls will be pushed out till September. The trash bid will be out early September. We still need that for our discussion on budgets for FY23, so we do have to get that out. But we're pushing them back out just a little bit further. And the second thing was legal counsel. I still have not received the following. Bill Lyons estate, we cleaned it up where that gentleman had passed. And so we're out some expenses. This estate has no living heirs, but they have not yet processed an estate, created an estate for the town of Westminster to redeem their expenses. At the point that no one steps up as a true heir to the Lyons estate, then the town will obtain the land, which we can sell, and there is an account, a bank account, that has some funds in it that we can redeem our expenses, but the majority of it by law goes to the school systems. So that one needs to be cleaned up. It's been on their docket for months now, and I still haven't heard.
that was last winter.
It-
Or late winter, early
Spring, early spring,
Yeah,
yeah.
yep.
It was snowing.
Yeah, he passed he passed in July and it was.
We're cleaning it up, it started
Yeah.
snowing, we got that last wet, heavy snow while we were working there.
We still haven't received a letter for Tammy Kissel and the work on private property that I've been waiting for. Folks asked me that yet. I talked about Hartley Hill quick claim deed for Robert Woodburn. We have not heard anything on that. Davidson Hill property, we had that all lined up to have a sale, and Larry stepped in and said that he hadn't done a proper title search. And so that's still in their court and hasn't been taken care of.
I thought there was a relative that came forward on that. Or am I
There's
thinking that?
relatives there, but no one wanted it.
Oh,
So that's hence why we bought it at tax sale.
right,
And so if they do reclaim it, which is fine, but they're going to pay their $8,000 of trash cleanup
right.
to the town.
I
So
guess I misinterpreted, I was thinking something different.
these folks, I mean, it is one of those things that, and we were supposed to have a tax sale in August, and they have yet to do the research and set a date yet. So I've been after these folks for quite a while, and I keep bugging them. But just to know, we are working on them, but we're as far as we can go with them.
Not to be flippant, but is Larry paid in full as far as the work he's done up to date?
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
so just, and I appreciate the diligence of this. Perhaps you can just send all this exactly the way it says and ask him for an update.
I did it today.
Okay. Did you
If we don't get a
CC
response.
me?
I sent it to Samantha and Larry only. I
Okay.
will forward it to you.
Thanks a lot.
I was gonna
Appreciate it.
say, I think the next phone call should come from Kevin. To find out why we're not getting a response.
Do we have a backup?
They're down a lawyer is what happened, and that's why, and now
They're busy.
the evictions are running rampant,
Oh,
so.
okay. Well, very good. Thank you. Okay, boards and commissions.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, other business. You put two more things on.
Prudential Committee,
Yeah.
draft letter in your packet. You have a draft letter. Wanted to make sure that it has all the information you need, but it's not a story. It's strictly explaining why the town is now paying the fire district directly for hold harmless and pilot.
Now, we did receive, and you correct me if I'm wrong, we did receive a response from Larry on this particular matter, did we not, today?
Today,
I have a lot of trouble understanding why that whole harmless and pilot.
You're not the
should
only
be
one.
go to the- I just don't get it.
the fire district, for the very first time, apparently, is going for federal funds. The federal grant application, according to their grant writer, is telling them that they need paper trail of state payments that they've received. Their state payments are hold harmless and pilot.
They've been getting this right along.
So what they get is their full amount of requested funds from town meeting. So in our version of our budget, we take their portion and deduct it off of our monies needed and pay them, but it's not shown on paper. We receive those funds and we pay the fire district, so indirectly, they're getting their dollars that they so deserve. But we're the ones that are out on that limb to make a best guess estimate of how much is gonna come to the town when they finally shake out all of their budgeting, the state, that is, in November. So now, they're asking for this money separated and a check cut.
That's what I don't understand.
It's just a paper trail, but they're gonna go out on that limb also now.
I'm gonna say, they're gonna have to, there's no gain other than for them to gain the grant money that they're asking for down the road.
Gives them a better chance of getting it.
Exactly.
Then
To get it from something that they have nothing to do with?
a federal grant for a fire truck,
No, but I'm talking about the source of
dollars,
the
yes,
money.
absolutely,
It has nothing to do with them.
exactly. But the state of Vermont gave Katie the permission to do that and said, yes, this is very doable. So that's why they're running with it. And
I
Chad works many, many towns and doesn't have any experience with it, but
yeah, I mean,
It's
he
gonna help
doesn't
the-
understand it either.
no, it's gonna help the fire district. That's why it's important. So
Okay.
I think it's not a big deal
I can't,
paperwork wise. It's just an extra check cut in November and we'll go from there.
Given Larry's response today, though, correct me if I'm wrong, he wasn't at all certain as to how we were to proceed, isn't that correct?
No, he got this draft letter just as it states in front of you.
Okay,
So he knows how it's all being shaped out. He just said, I don't know how you're gonna pay for it, how you're going to use your accountant to actually show the ins and outs of that in our accounting program. That's not his problem, and he said it looks fine to him, but it's not his problem. It's between your accountant and NIMRIC. And he spelled
but
NIMRIC.
NIMRIC doesn't understand why it's being done that way either.
No, but they'll put a line item in there to an expense line with a revenue line, and
Okay,
it honestly, it's really not gonna be that big of a deal. So,
So far, the only thing we're gonna have is, this is select board, we got the expense of paying our attorney to do research for the fire department, but, that's no big deal.
Yep.
I guess, so.
Let me ask this, will this give them what they need, I
Yes.
guess? It will,
Yes.
okay.
So I have, in front of you, you have drafts. I have this ready to be signed if you so choose. Yeah, it just doesn't have a draft written on it.
Then you need a motion that we, as a select board, we approve
The wording
the
and,
wording, this letter as written up by the town manager to be submitted to the Prudential Committee.
Which this is what Katie asked for.
that's correct.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you need any more than that, right?
That's fine, Craig.
Except you need a second.
Also.
Motion has been made to adopt payment for district portion of hold harmless and pilot allocation, state of Vermont, for the Prudential Committee, on behalf of the Westminster Select Board, and a second has been made.
We'll also authorize the chair of the select board to sign on behalf, since there's only one line. Okay?
Sure, I'll go into the valley of death.
There you go.
Tax ID number.
Read and weep.
Can I sign this George Armstrong Custer?
Yeah, you gotta make sure you get all approved.
Could read it anyway, he was writing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Opposed? Adopted.
You can oppose it, but you're still signing it. Did you?
No, I'm not voting on this.
It still doesn't.
I can't vote on something I don't agree with or explain.
So we have an
One abstention.
so we have
Abstention, that's-
4 yeas and Toby Young has abstained. Okay.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Today? 25th.
25th, yeah. You can't read it anyway, so. That could be Chuck.
Oh, it's me. Usually I use a big X. Okay. Any other? Oh, yes. Moving on to errors and omissions.
It was brought to our attention that Ronald and Michelle Boslin had their parcels surveyed, and the estimated value, the estimated acreage was much more than was actually there. It was not carried over into this year's tax evaluation, so hence you have an errors and omissions in front of you.
Why is it saying reduces the value?
Right.
Because it was estimated at 12 acres and it filtered out to 8 acres.
So you just said it had more acres, so it has less acres.
I'm sorry. It has less acres.
And this is the people, she represents us, so we have to go along with it, right? I move that we accept the errors of omission on parcel 007011 for Boston, Ronald, and Michelle.
So moved.
Second?
Motion to accept errors and omission has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's
Could
adopted.
you initial the original, please? It's in color. The one you have in your hand.
Yeah, you do have color. Yours is-
This one?
Yeah.
Yes, as chair, just initial it at the bottom.
Okay.
Are we under, what are we under? Other business? I got a question of the manager.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, shoot.
Russ, just so I didn't understand, this is on page, it's for Peter, I don't know how much, right? RYSZ.
Peter Reese,
Reese, is it Reese?
Peter Reese,
What, it's for 97,000, what's it for?
tax sale redemption.
So we wrote a check to buy it because we got.
No. At tax sale, he purchased 2 properties.
Okay.
He did more than that, but he purchased 2 separate properties. There's 2 checks in there for him. One was, you don't need to know the properties.
Right. Okay.
But, so he, the owner had 1 year to redeem. He redeemed. So he paid the back taxes, and we held in escrow this Mr. Reese's dollars, and so we're paying him back with the interest paid by,
So the best, even
The two
though we
owners.
see 97,000 here in expenses, we wrote a check, you got offsided income someplace else.
that's correct.
That's all,
That's
you're into my question.
That's correct.
When you first look at it, you're going, like, that's a check for 97,000, you know? I said, there's your check.
I have no idea.
No.
No. Is it contractor? We're gonna put it in a FEMA?
So, just so we could follow through and we're always learning, could you bring back at the next meeting showing us the income? For
The
The
income,
revenue, show us the revenue to balance it out.
okay, it's one, I can just tell you right up front, it's 1% every month. So on his $62,000 investment, okay, so he gets $620 every month towards his
Right.
redemption. When they come back, the owner finally says, I need this property back, and here's the buyout. The town gets only, we can't make any money. We can only get
I
back
understand all that,
taxes.
but you had money come from the people who originally had it, wrote you a check back.
That's correct.
That's what I'm looking for.
Okay,
The revenue, if somebody comes and texts me, hey, you just spent 97,000, where's the revenue? I just want, this came from this over here, that's all. Just a simple
Where
matter,
would that
thank you.
show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People ask sometimes, I go, I don't know, and then somebody started asking, digging, show me where it is. Yeah, it's a good question.
it's always under a tax sale line
And it's
in
not
the
easy, because I know
report.
it's set aside and all that. Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
I move we adjourn.
Date of the next meeting will be September 8th, 2021.
I will not be at that meeting, I'm sorry, I'll be away.
Okay. Anyone else not going to be present?
She wants to leave early, and then she doesn't want to come to the next meeting. That's somebody with an attitude.
Do we have a quorum for the 28th, the 8th?
I'll be here.
What is it?
September 8th.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Craig is thinking.
Just let us know, Craig.
I'm going to. No, I
Just let us know. You've got plenty of time.
Yeah, I think I.
So Toby made the motion. Who seconded it?
I second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Good job, Craig.
Whose signature is that?
That was one of my first.